Coming up on the Together for Good podcast, it is the guest that has been most requested. And by that, I mean a handful of you asked me, hey, when are you going to have your oldest daughter on the podcast? So yes, my daughter Evelyn and I sat down when she had that random snow day in the beginning of May. And so what else were you going to do? We came in and recorded a podcast. It's awesome. She's so thoughtful and just kind of loves to discuss these things. So it's a really fun conversation about how she thinks about faith, the questions that she has, some of the reservations she has about the associations with Christianity, just given what she's seen in the world and the way other people show up. But we talk about that and how she still finds a way to be herself as a 14-year-old. It's awesome. I'm so excited for you to hear it. Here we go. Welcome to the Together for Good podcast, a podcast created by Bethany Lutheran Church in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado, and hosted by me, Pastor Nate Preisinger. On Together for Good, our goal is to provide practical, engaging content that supports you without expectations. Whether you're feeling disconnected from traditional religion or simply exploring what faith means in your life, we're here to walk alongside you. No matter where you are on your journey of faith, we're glad you're here. Welcome to Together for Good. So I'm here in the Bethany Library on the most random snow day of all time, May 6th. And there really isn't that much snow, but I'm here with my oldest daughter, Evelyn. Say hello.
Hi.
Go Bills.
Oh, yeah.
Love your sweater.
Awesome sweater. I got to pull it out for the snow days.
Pull it out for the snow days and for the podcast. And Evelyn has been wanting to come on the podcast ever since she saw her younger brother and sister on the podcast. I wanted you to come on. I've been wanting to get Evelyn on, but you wanted to come on anyways.
Yeah.
And this was a fun thing to do on a snow day because what else are we going to do?
Burn an hour, yeah.
So Evelyn, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
I'm 14. I'm an 8th grader at Powell Middle School. I'm going to Littleton High School next year.
Go Lions. And it's the Lions, right? Did I get that right? Okay, that would have been bad if I got that wrong. And other activities that you're involved in. You just finished your play. Keep going.
Yeah. I play basketball.
Yes,
That's like my main thing. I like reading. I like listening to music. I've done theater for a little bit.
Yeah. Just did a baller production of Mary
Poppins.
Very fun. So the things that I want to talk about, though, I want to start because you are coming to the end of your confirmation program here at Bethany. You have been in that since you were in 6th grade.
Yep.
We had our last confirmation class last Wednesday. And I'm just kind of curious what you remember of the whole process, what you're thinking about heading into your confirmation in the fall. And I'm sure you have questions for me, so this is also a chance for you to ask those questions. So yeah, like just give us some initial thoughts and review of what this experience has been.
I think, well, I remember how you guys do it. It's like a rotating schedule. So like it's tough questions, Bible, and then
the catechism.
The catechism, was this year?
No, you did Bible this year.
Bible this year, catechism last year. Yeah. No, but I don't think I remember last year that much. Maybe because it was a little bit more boring. More like, this is what Luther wrote. This is what the 10 Commandments are.
Yeah, the catechism
learn the Apostles' Creed. I already knew
the Apostles' Creed, 10 Commandments, Lord's Prayer. Yeah. Some other stuff in there.
And I already know Apostles' Creed and Lord's Prayer. Just because, actually, in Philly, whenever...
No, it's because we say it every night before bed, right? Tell them. That's not true. What were you going to say about when we lived in Philly?
In Philly, actually, whenever, like, we were leaving and, like, Solomon had to, like, go to the bathroom and, like, talk to his friend, I'd have to wait for, like, Mama to, like, go with him. And where I waited, I, like, sat in this little corner, and it was the Apostles' Creed in front of me.
At the church we went to in Philly?
Yeah, so I would just, like, I was bored, so I would just memorize the Apostles' Creed because it was just there on the wall, and I was like, what else am I going to do?
And that's a great story. You were, what, in 2nd grade or 1st grade
probably,
at the time?
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I guess I'll read the Apostles' Creed. So that's how you instill faith in your child. You just, like, sit them in front of posters with the Apostles' Creed on it. No, but go back. Say more about confirmation, though.
Yeah, I remember 6th grade a lot because I think tough questions were kind of interesting because it was just nice to get into just like stuff. And
what were some of the tough questions that you remember best?
mental health.
Yeah.
Like doubting in your faith, I guess. Just like the biggest questions of faith, and I think that was just useful to get answered, and also just like be able to talk about just like tougher questions in life in general in a way. And it was also like it was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It felt very practical, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think mainly I was just like intrigued, and like it was like something with like a bit more substance than
Sunday school
like,
had been, or Wednesday nights had been.
Wednesday nights had been, or just like church in general, because it's like repeated stories a lot. Yeah, and then this year was Bible. I liked this year because I think the curriculum was different this year.
Good
and
answer.
We got the big room renovated, so that was nice. But yeah, and I really liked when, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but he came in, he gave the slideshow about the Bible and the Torah and the Quran, and like related all of them. And, like,
was that Garth?
Is
he kind of younger?
No, he's old. He's the old one.
Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
Joe.
Yeah.
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 Joe did a great job. He kind of taught a couple classes
yeah,
for us.
Yeah, and I just I like history a lot, and I thought it was really interesting to just have like, he was doing like Bible history, and I thought it was really cool to have a historical look on like the Bible and other sacred texts. Because I think I've always been really, something that's always kind of like, I don't know.
Intrigued you?
Piques my interest, yeah. It's definitely like the similarities that are found within the history of like every religion. Like every religion has the same stories. They have like similar to a Noah's Ark story, or like just like there's always a flood or a reset, and then there's like, in like, I don't know, and I think that's always just like really, really.
What do you think? I mean, what conclusions do you draw from that? The fact that there's so,
I don't know. I think
these stories kind of appear in different places. It's
like a really big question to me, because a lot of them are like different time periods, or just like different areas of the world in a time where like worldwide communication took like a really long time.
Right,
and
they didn't have
like,
the internet.
It's not available unless like it's like passed down.
Uh-huh.
But like, I don't know, I think that's just always really been like, I wonder where these connections stemmed from. Were they shared, or was it just like a coincidence of like that these faiths are the same in their views? I don't know.
And it's not necessarily that the views of the faith are the same, because sometimes they draw different conclusions from the same kind of story. The way that I think about it is that there's these stories, and it's like, okay, like something really significant happened in the history of the world, and it affected a wide group of people and a whole bunch of different people, and they all kind of drew different conclusions from that big event. Like the flood is a really good example of that, in that like we kind of, it seems very, very likely that there was some sort of massive flood that wiped out the known world. And so then when something that groundbreaking, the biblical word would be apocalyptic, happens, that then like all the people are like, hey, like how do we understand this now? Like the world is different. And you think about it, like it still happens today.
Flood is a metaphor, as in like something big,
no, I think
like as a real flood.
Well, I think people then took it to be metaphorical in some ways. But I think there really was a real flood, and that's why so many people wrote it down and told stories about it.
I don't know, I think I'm taking the less logical path, but I think I take a lot of the things in the Bible as metaphorical, as like a way to teach and a way to like spread knowledge, instead of like maybe not everything that happened in there is true. I know I've talked about this with you and Joe
we talked about this in the Bible classes. Yeah, absolutely.
Other Joe. Yeah, but like, I don't know, it's just like, it's hard to find a balance of like, because I think like instinctively I always think of it like this is metaphorical, and therefore how did these two separate religions that are pretty decently far away in a world where communication was not yet a big, easy to access thing, how are these the same? I don't think I usually consider like the fact that maybe like something big did happen and they all had the same stories, because like usually it's in the Bible it's told in a story format, right? It's like long ago this happened.
Yeah.
So like I don't know,
But here's where I want to affirm what you're saying. I think Jesus was trying to lead us to that conclusion. Because Jesus taught primarily in parables. And so he's like constantly telling people like, hey, let me tell you a story. And I want you to listen to that story and to wrestle with that story and to think about the story from different angles and talk amongst yourselves. But at no point is he saying like, this is the way it has to be. I mean, there's a couple places where he does stuff like that, but primarily he's trying to say like, hey, like, couldn't it be better if we had some stories that we were talking about and I learned from how you interpret that story and you learn from how I do, and this will make a more beautiful, connected world. Because, right, as we know, religion gets really tricky and difficult when people start to just say like, no, it's this.
Yeah.
And it seems like Jesus was intentionally trying to lead us away from that like very narrow way of understanding it, right? His biggest problem was always with the Pharisees, who were the ones constantly saying like, hey, wait, this is the right way to do this. He's like, oh, like, let me tell you a story. Who do you think is the one who was a neighbor here? Yeah, right?
I think I like that idea of like faith in general the best, if it's like a fluid thing where we can take many different interpretations and kind of just like stick them together and be like, sure, this works. I don't know, I just like,
I mean, yeah.
Like, because it's like a huge divider, and I feel like it wasn't designed that, I think it was designed to just be like, I don't know, even just like.
What do you think it was designed for? What's the point?
Well, we went to Rainbow Trail this last weekend. That was
family retreat, shout out.
And I think I've always had a problem. I wrote about this in my devotion thing with Stacy. But like I've always been incredibly stubborn, and like if
just a pause. Stacy was your confirmation mentor, and you and her wrote a devotional that recently went out.
Stacey.
Hi, Stacy. And and you wrote in there, I think that's your first line, like, I've always been a really stubborn person.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know anything about that.
No, but like I think that's just good to emphasize, because a lot of people kind of assume like a pastor's kid or like someone who like, I don't know, grew up going to church or something is like
reading Apostles' Creed posters.
Or is just automatically gonna be like the stereotypical Christian person.
Yeah.
Or like there's a lot of things in place, and like I don't know how to make someone believe specific things about me besides just like saying them.
Yeah.
But like I did not like the idea of a lot of things faith related and a lot of things like God related. I was stubborn, like things made me angry easily, like when I was sitting in church and I was like, this is stupid, I don't want to listen.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that was boredom, but a part of that was just like, or just like, I don't know, just like.
Yeah, no, you've always had a real justice mindset about like what's right and what's fair. Yeah. And I think you've also very early on seen a lot of the negative portrayals of Christianity and experienced it. And I know that always rubs you the wrong way of like, oh, like there's this the super Christian person at my school, blah, blah, blah. And that always just kind of unsettles you. Yeah. Of like, gosh. And I think that's hard because your dad's a pastor, because we come to church all the time. You struggle with trying to figure out how this works for you. Because you're like, I don't want to be like that, this person at my school. But in the same sense, I get the sense that it's still, like, faith still seems important to you in some way. Yeah, and I think it's hard to, like, talk to people who aren't necessarily, like, spiritual or Christian or, like, religious. Because they make assumptions about you. Yeah, and also just, like, I think it's a little bit, like, well, I'm actually, like, in the sense of thinking about this, I'm making assumptions about how other people view faith. Yep. And I think, like, oh, I view it differently, but maybe everybody is just kind of, like, oh, this is a way to get me to feel this, or a way for me to just know, like, these are, like, to read these sacred texts and be like, oh, I should be kind and forgiving to these people around me and myself. Well, and what I think is interesting, right, I love how generous you're being. And I'm guessing that if someone was from a different religion, you would approach them with that type of open mindset, right? And you'd be like, oh, like, this is different than me, but I can see and I respect how their sacred text leads them to these behaviors and practices. But because the super Christian person at your school, like, is kind of in the same family as you, that's where you get hypercritical.
Yeah.
Like, no, like you're ruining it for the rest of us.
I think there's also just like religion in general. There's like set assumptions made about every religion, whether you're religious or not. And it's just like, this is a Christian. And like, if you grow up around it, or if like that's a little bit more of, it's like, kind of like whenever you read something or you see something or you experience something, you take it to heart, and it like builds an assumption around you of like, this is a Christian. And like what you hear is like, this is a weird example, like what you hear is like, we pray, and like, let's go around prayer. What you hear is people praying, and we pray, and you hear like, let me pray for you, and then you see maybe not like something that you appreciate to a person who is Christian, who's also the one saying like, we pray, and then you kind of have like a negative aspect on like prayer, and maybe that's not the way it's supposed to be, or maybe that's not the way prayer works for you.
Absolutely. So like, I think there's just a lot of that, and I don't want to get too judgmental and say that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But like, the way I would say is like, that's not the only way,
or that's not
that
how it works for you.
Right, exactly. And whenever we narrow it, I think it does do a disservice, because like you're saying, like for some people that just doesn't fly, doesn't resonate.
I didn't explain it the best either. I was kind of rambling, but definitely rambling. But yeah, I think it's just been kind of like a hump for me.
Yeah.
Or just a challenge in general, because whenever I hear like something faith-based, there's always 1,000 like other tiny things tied to it, just from like what I've seen or like what I've read, or what I've watched, and it's like, or just like the weird feeling something gets me.
And it's what I really like and appreciate about our Lutheran faith, is that it feels like a place that's pretty generous and open, and not constantly trying to put everything into like a really narrow, confined box, and say like, this is the only way. And I'm guessing, I hope at least this year with the Bible, like that message started to kind of come through, is where I'm constantly saying like, hey, like this is your story, and find the ways that you connect with it. Go ahead.
I think I like totally lost my thought there.
It's okay. What you were gonna say too is, you were talking a little earlier about Rainbow Trail, and something happened this past weekend that clicked with you.
Well, I think I've just been trying to think about it more of just like, maybe there's a set way that I think people like, or just like, I'm generalizing again, but like I think there's a set way that I've viewed faith of like, this is a Christian, and when you go to a church camp, this is how you're supposed to be, and it's kind of like really like focused in like that like hyper like church kid space of like, that's a stereotype.
Yeah.
But
super Christians. Got you.
Like that's kind of where like, that's where I see it. It's just focused, and when I hear the words Bible study or I hear the words prayer, there's like, this is not a good thing to be saying on a church podcast.
No, it's fine. No, we're going to talk about all this. I love this.
There's like a negative connotation to it, and I don't really know like, where's that from, where that's from, or like, but like there's just kind of like, this is what this means, and like I just kind of like stray away from it, because I think it's relative to like that stereotypical super Christian.
We make all these like all these assumptions all the time about what those things mean, and I'm always curious about just ways that we can twist that around for people.
Yeah.
One of the things I do a lot of, I make these TikTok videos where I call it, and I say, here's another perspective on a familiar Bible story.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, is I don't say, this is the only perspective on this Bible story, and you've all been getting it wrong forever. I just say like, hey, here's another way to look at it, and let me point out some details that lead me to believe maybe we could think about it this way. But in the same sense, there's also, and I think that's what makes it a sacred book, is that it's so flexible, and
I think it was designed to be flexible, and we've just like maybe taken it the wrong way.
Well, and I just think that the Holy Spirit works on us, to use very churchy language. It's going to make you uncomfortable. The Holy Spirit works on us whenever we read it, and so each time we read it, it's like, oh, like this is a little different than the last time.
Yeah.
And like I've come across Bible verses that I've like scanned through and never noticed before, and then all of a sudden I read it again. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because of what just happened in my life, this is very,
I think,
very relevant.
If I could, the way I would just, like, approach any religion is just, like it's impossible, but just have no prior knowledge or experience or anything. It's just like, oh, this is a thing that people believe, and have the look on it of, like, this is the thing people believe because it speaks to them or because it teaches them lessons that they think they want to apply to their life. And it's just like, oh, I want to learn about this, or I want to start following this faith, and there's no expectations. Mm-hmm. It's just like, this is a spiritual thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's just a more optimistic mindset.
Yeah.
Versus a pessimistic mindset.
And I think I've been, like, at Rainbow, I was just trying to, like, I think I was trying to stray away from my original mindset of, like, if I hear something I dislike, I'm like, I don't like that. But instead, just trying to hear it in a different way. And I think I was trying to, I'm overplaying the metaphors, but, like, just see everything as a metaphor. And that was kind of interesting because it's like, what was one of the stories we did? Like,
Bible stories in the keynote sections? When Nate was speaking, the keynote speaker? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a Bible story about people being healed.
There was one where Jesus tells his disciples to go and, like, go into these people's houses and, like, ask for comfort, and if
there you go.
It's not given, then to just leave and, like, shake the dust off their feet on their carpet or something. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's a little bit weird, and also, like, sometimes I'm a little bit opposed. Sometimes I don't necessarily like people, like, forcibly spreading Christianity onto people because it gets bad, like, because it's not, like, it's usually used in a very not good way. But I kind of thought of it as, like, well, maybe Jesus is just trying to tell us to, like, be kind to people and not see, like, Jesus and God are just, like, if someone comes to your door and they're, like, they only have the clothes on their back because he told them not to, like, bring anything in the story.
Just trust in other people.
Like, maybe you should give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe you should just try to help people. And, like,
I think you're really onto something there, in that the way I've been reading it lately is that Jesus was trying to instill, the words I've been using are an ethic of love. And you look at it and they're like, hey, like, what's the greatest commandment? And he just, like, everything kind of just boils down to, like, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. Or love your enemies, which is its own, like, crazy thing that he said. But it just kind of always comes back to that. And he seems to always be fighting with the people who do, like, religion.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the chief priests are his biggest enemies. Or maybe not enemies, but they're the people that he's always bickering with. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like, hey, wait, like, don't take this great religion thing and this connection with God and turn it into just a bunch of rules that people have to follow. It's like, no, like, love each other.
Yeah, I think I have two things. I think actually recently I've been thinking about rules more often as in the way of, like, sacred texts maybe are a book of rules, but maybe it's a book of rules for the better of, it's like telling these stories and it's like, hey, be kind to people. And like, or like, hey, love your enemies and love your neighbors and love yourself and love, like, presence and spirituality and, like, God. Second thing is, like, how do you think God is meant to be interpreted in those, like, words of, like, how can we take love God? Like, how is that, like, how
does one love God?
No, like, what is, like, a deeper level of that? Like, what could that represent instead of, like, an otherworldly being? Oh. Or, like, for people who aren't, like,
I see what you're saying.
Like, or new to religion, or, like, have negative, like,
it's hard to conceptualize.
Yeah, and also, like,
but okay, I love where you're going with that.
What if God isn't a spiritual being and it's instead?
No, like, I mean, in the way that I think about God is as the ground of being. The theologian Paul Tillich talks about that. You know I love Paul Tillich.
You're a nerd.
I know. It's fun.
Every time someone's like, oh, your dad's a pastor, I'm like, I promise it's just because he's a nerd. Yeah. The reason he does all of this is because he's a nerd.
But Paul Tillich talks about God as the ground of being, right? Like, and he specifically is kind of fighting against this sense of, you know, the the man with a big beard sitting on a cloud.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not really what we're looking
Is
for.
he part of Gungor?
Paul Tillich? No, he's dead.
Oh, I was
He's
like...
a Lutheran theologian who wrote in the 1940s,
Nice.
30s and 40s, 50s a little bit. Anyways, but he talks about God as the ground of being. And I really like that, of just like existence itself
Is God.
is God.
Yeah.
And so to love God is like an orienting of your life in a different way. Like there is something bigger than me. There is something more going on in this world. There is something, right, like more incredible than my little moment right now.
Yeah.
And to love God is to just like live in a way with respect towards all of that.
Yeah. I think I like the abstract versions
Right.
of religion more than the stereotypical ones. But like I like thinking about it in like a freaky existential way sometimes. But
I think that's right. Like you're a smart kid, and I think that we need to sort of progress through different understandings of how this works. Because if when you were 4 years old reading the Apostles' Creed poster, I tried to explain this all to you, your eyes would glaze over.
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of learn to love God in different ways through your lifetime. And at first it's just like, yeah, like it's like my dad, but it's not my dad, and it's in the clouds. And right? Like, but for a 4-year-old, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And then we can like evolve from that as we understand that the world and life is far more complex
I like
than
that
this.
way of thinking about it, of like it's a growth.
Yeah, it's always a growth.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think I like thinking of it as like I've been trying to think of how to write. For confirmation, I have to write an essay about like my faith journey.
Your faith statement.
Yeah. And I remember there was a kid like 2 years back, and he wrote one, and he wrote it like science-based about like the percentage of how likely it is for you to exist, and it's like insanely like stupidly low. And I wanted to do something like that. And like I like science and I like history, and it's like I'm a nerd too. But like I've been watching videos lately to like so I can actually like learn something in my free time. But like just random videos about like string theory and like the universe expanding, and it's like really cool because like like I was watching this one, it's like the universe, our theory is that the universe is expanding, but also like if something's expanding, there has to be an edge to it. So what would be at the edge of the universe? And then there's like so many different theories of like I just read Turtles All the Way Down.
Yep.
And it's like
by John
no,
Green.
the Earth
Great
is just
novel.
a turtle on top of a turtle on top of a turtle.
It's turtles all the way down.
It's turtles all the way down. But like, and it's just really cool to think about something in like a way that is bigger than you.
Absolutely. Which is loving God, right? Like thinking about the world in a way that's bigger than yourself. And it's really cool, and it's really exciting, and it also is so humbling, right? It's like, oh wow, like yeah, maybe my life isn't as important as I make myself out to seem. But then also, and how incredible that I'm here.
Yeah.
Like you said, like the percentage of this. There's a great little video that we're going to watch together, and you can watch it too. It's on YouTube. It's called Everything is Spiritual. It's a speech that Rob Bell gave.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched it?
No, you try to make us watch it.
I've tried to make you watch it on previous snow days, and you guys got mad at me.
Yeah, because it's an hour long.
Yeah, it's a great speech. It's a great speech, but it does everything that you're talking about. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he like goes through all of the little details, and
Yeah.
he's such a good speaker. It's very, very compelling and funny, and he's the best.
I think my question is, how do you put that into everyday life? Because you can't always be in this existential mindset of like everything's bigger than me. So how can you turn like the thought of loving God as like a thing of like noticing?
In the Bible, the way that people that it's so often talked about, it's really cool that when you go back and look at it in the Old Testament, all of the commandments that they have or all of the rituals that they do, the way they talk about it is that they are using this to remember God. And what's cool is that then when they talk about sinfulness, like sin, and that sounds big and scary, it's about forgetting God. When we forget about God and our place in the universe, and we start to think that we're God, that's when things get messed up. And that's right, like that's Adam and Eve from the very start. They're like, hey, we're gonna eat this fruit so we can become like God.
Yeah, I think maybe like the Bible is so over-explained, or just like the stories
Yeah.
themselves were such like a kind of like a watering down of like the idea that was trying to come across, that it's kind of like turned into a like mutated version of like maybe
Absolutely.
the actual point
No,
of like
and
Adam
they're
and
so
Eve.
familiar that
Yeah.
we just
Don't
like gloss
take
over
any
stuff.
meaning, yeah.
That's, I mean, and that's why I do those Sunday school
This was
remix
literally
episodes.
this was my devotion.
Yeah, I know it was. Of just like, yeah, like look at all these stories.
Yeah.
But so to answer your question, so how do you love God in your everyday life? I think it's just about remembering God. Like, hey, like
Is
you know,
that
like just
through
taking a
ritual
pause.
and like tradition, or is that like
Rituals and traditions help with that. Notice that's what they're trying to do. Is to just remember you. I mean, think about too, like the big ritual we do at communion. We remember that in the night in which he was betrayed. That's how I started.
Oh, Jesus, I remember.
We remember is the very first things that I say. It's just remembering this piece of the puzzle, and kind of like putting the universe back into focus for us in its proper ways. And so yeah, like when you're going around your daily life, it's just like, oh, like yeah, like kind of remembering that God's a part of this and God's a part of that, and like maybe I won't be a jerk to that person. I don't know.
I think that's maybe hard for people to like maybe come to terms with, because it's like nothing really changes.
Say more.
Or like there's not like a big thing of like, maybe like this is probably just me, but like there's not like a big thing of like, oh, once I truly understand like God or like my religion, then
Yeah.
my life's gonna feel different every day. Because like you see these people and they're like very like open about their Christianity, or like they're the stereotypical Christian person, like, oh, their life is probably a lot different than me because we're like we act different, and they probably have a different aspect of faith than me, and they're probably living their life differently through their like their faith or whatever.
But let's bring it back.
No, I'm just like saying like maybe this is kind of like, I don't know, this is like turning in my head now of like, oh, maybe loving God, as you say, it doesn't really change my life as much. Well, and like it's not like a big thing of like suddenly have a different outlook on the world. I
think though, it will give you a different outlook on the world in very subtle but significant ways. It won't suddenly make you a superhero.
Yeah, it's not like,
it doesn't mean that everything gets fixed.
I think maybe a part of me thought like maybe like fully believing in this faith or like whatever, it's gonna change the way I see the world in significant ways. It's gonna like change my life, but also like the human life is just kind of like, it doesn't change that much.
And it changes
from person to person.
It doesn't change that much in an instant, but it changes incredibly over a longer period of time.
No, but also like
you're so different than you were at 4 years old.
Yeah, but like there's also like limits. Like there's not like I can't suddenly sprout wings. There are limits to like how far the human can change.
Totally.
And like maybe faith will change me a little bit, but I think maybe I was
But so
had
here's
an
what
idea
I'll
of
say.
something more drastic.
For me, my experience has been that faith has changed me just in the way that I show up, and in like the things I worry about or don't worry about. It's it's very, very subtle. And when you add all those subtle pieces together, it does feel like a huge, significant twist. I mean, just I have so much more compassion for people than I ever did before. Just because because of this constant remembering of God and thinking about them as a child of God, and like just zooming out and being like, oh my gosh, they're such a jerk, they're such a jerk. But then being like, wait a second, like what is going on in their life?
I think you've taught me a lot of like this person, because I'm very stubborn and very like closed-minded from like my own views, and like I think you've taught me a little bit of like that person is person, and maybe they don't have the same views as her, or maybe you think the same views as you, or maybe you think their views are damaging, but also like he's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
Like
we're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And that comes back to the book that I keep telling you to read, Low Anthropology by David Zoll. It's really, really good. But that's the whole point of the book. It's like helping us to see, like, hey, zoom out for a second and recognize we're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And we're actually all kind of bad at it. And so then like don't take yourself so seriously. Okay. Yeah, don't take yourself so seriously, and don't be so critical of other people as well, because they're going through their own mess at the same time. But like I think that's what Jesus is trying to help us to see too. It's like the Pharisees who are constantly yelling at people for not following the rules right. It's like, wait a second, like
they're doing the best they can. The Good Samaritan story was a lawyer who comes to try and trap and trick Jesus. And so Jesus tells him a story. And at the end of the story, he's like, hey, like, who's the one that was a neighbor here? And the man is like, well, it's the one who showed him mercy, the Samaritan. He didn't even want to admit it because he was so prejudiced against Samaritans. So he just says, he can't even say the word Samaritan, the one who showed him mercy. But like, that's the whole story. It's just like, hey, like, you have so much judgment that you put on this people group. And yet what I'm telling you is that, like, the point is just how we treat one another.
Yeah.
And can we just see people as people? Like, the Samaritans saw this person on the side of the road as someone in need. And that's maybe what we need to be doing more than anything else.
Yeah. I like that example because I think it shows, like the two-part of, like, Lutherans talk about this all the time. Maybe, like, too much because I think it's lost meaning for some. But, like, so, like, Jesus is like, hey, you kind of screwed up. Like, we need to show everyone love. And also, like, we need to show everyone love. Like, you messed up.
Yeah, I get you.
And also, everybody needs love.
Yeah, that's
all we need is love by the Beatles.
Yeah, that's it's so well done. You're right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's what we always want to turn it into a to-do list. And we think, like, oh, I got to go show love. Like, I better do this.
No love, show love.
No love, show love. Today's goal, show love. But, and yeah, in the end, Jesus is like, hey, you didn't do a good enough job. And everybody just needs love. Come on. This has been a rambling. This is great. Anything else you want to cover? But we'll probably have to bring you back on at the next snow day.
Right.
You feeling good? All right. We're excited for you to be confirmed in October. It's crazy. Your homework is to read Low Anthropology and to watch Everything is Spiritual. Maybe we can watch that tonight. And you, hey, dear listener, thank you for watching. Share this with family and friends. We really appreciate you joining in on this snow day in May for this fun conversation. As always, stay in peace.
Thank you for listening to the Together for Good podcast. If you'd like more resources for your walk of faith, please visit our website, bethany-denver.org, or download our mobile app by searching Bethany Connect in your phone's app store.